Well, would you look at that? It seems that it's that time again. Time for me to sit down and share some more of my pet peeves. And I say some more of my pet peeves because this is not my first rodeo. I've sat down many times and discussed my pet peeves with you all, but the truth is, the list is ever growing. I am constantly adding new pet peeves to my list of pet peeves, and perhaps that's a red flag about my personality. Perhaps I'm too easily annoyed. And that's why I so easily can add to my list of pet peeves. But I'm not here to discuss the red flags about my personality, because that's no fun. You know what is fun? Complaining about little things that don't really matter. That's fun. And so that's why we're going to do that today. So without further ado, here is the newest extension of my list of ever-growing pet peeves. Starting with something that literally happened to me 5 minutes ago that caused me to re-record this intro like 3 times. Cat hair stuck to my makeup. I mean, listen, I have cats, and cat hair being all over my clothes, all over my face is sort of inevitable. And I absolutely adore my cats. They bring me so much joy. There's nothing I love more than getting in bed after a long day and my cats climbing up into the bed and getting all cozy with me and us going to sleep. And then if I'm lucky, me waking up and they're still there on the bed. There's nothing I love more. There's nothing I love more than walking around my house and randomly noticing my cat laying down and being like, oh my God, what a cute little cat. And sitting down next to the cat and petting it for like anywhere between 60 seconds to probably approximately 3 minutes. Like, I love having cats. However, the hair is a huge issue. To be honest, if I would have known how bad the cat hair issue would have been, I still would have gotten the cats, but I would have, honestly, I might have gotten a hairless cat breed. No, I wouldn't have. That's very unrealistic, and I don't even know where you find those. And I wanted to rescue my cats, and it's very hard to like rescue a special breed of a cat. Would anything have changed? Like, would I do anything differently? I guess not, when I think about it. But I'm trying to express to you how frustrating the cat hair is. I mean, it's annoying enough and frustrating enough when it's on the clothes, but when it's on the clothes, it's really just an aesthetic issue. Like, it just looks kind of bad, but I don't really care about that because I'm at home by myself most of the time. And before I leave, I just lint roll and the issue is sort of solved. Although I will say the lint roller gets off like 90%. There's still usually a little bit of cat hair left, but again, like, it's worth it. I love my cats. It's worth the annoyance. The thing that really bothers me is when the cat hair gets stuck on my face. Okay. This particularly happens when I'm wearing makeup, but it also occasionally happens when I'm wearing particularly sticky skincare. But for the sake of simplicity, I'll just talk about it getting stuck in my makeup. I make an effort to avoid my cats when I have makeup on. Like, I'm not sitting down on the ground rubbing my cat's tummy when I have a full face of makeup on, because I know that little hairs will fly up into the air and get stuck on my face. And then for the entirety of that makeup wear, I will feel the hairs on my face. And it is so itchy and so tickly and so uncomfortable. But even when I avoid my cats with makeup on, somehow the cat hair still sticks to my face. It must just be that there's cat hair floating around in the air at all times. And the second that my face is sticky, it just attaches, but it's so annoying. And it particularly happens, or I particularly notice it when I sit to record a podcast, because my microphone has some cat hair on it. Like, I have one of those foam things that you put on top of your microphone. I don't even know what it's called. Pop filter or whatever. And that thing kind of, I don't know, cat hair really sticks to it. And then I put that thing really close to my face. And then I guess from breathing and talking into the mic, like, the hairs get loose and stick to my face. It is so frustrating. Again, as we've discovered together, I wouldn't go back and change anything, you know? Like, I love my cats more than anything. I just adore them. They're the light of my life, you know? I mean, I have more lights in my life than just my cats, but okay, like, let's not start calling me a crazy cat lady. Everybody relax. I love my family. I love my friends. There's many people in my life who I love dearly. It's not just the cats. I'm actually not okay, see, now I'm about to go off on a tangent. I'm really not a crazy cat lady. Like, I love my cats. They're very important to me. They do bring me a lot of joy, but I wouldn't consider myself to be a crazy cat lady. Like, that stereotype doesn't really resonate with me because I'm not like obsessed with them. And I really don't think that I make them a personality trait. I think that that's what makes a crazy cat lady? Number one, the cats are the entire personality. They're discussed very frequently. That's number one. Number two, addicted to adopting more cats. I definitely don't feel that way. I'm very happy with two, and I don't have an unwavering desire to get more. And number three, I don't think I'm that crazy. So I don't know. I don't think I'm a crazy cat lady, but I do adore my cats. And so it's totally fine that their hair is in my makeup, but it is fucking annoying. Speaking of the feeling of little hairs all over you, my next pet peeve is when I get a haircut and no matter what I do to avoid the feeling of prickly little hairs on my neck and in my shirt, I inevitably will have prickly hairs in my neck, on my neck, and in my shirt. There's nothing, I've never been able to figure out how to prevent that. No matter how tightly I have my hairstylist clip the cape around me, no matter how quickly I take my shirt off after the haircut, I have to rinse after a haircut. I have to get in the shower and I have to rinse and I have to put every single piece of clothing that I was wearing into the hamper, into the dirty hamper. I've tried before to go from a haircut to something else, like to get my haircut and then like go to dinner. And like the discomfort from the prickly hairs wasn't so bad that I couldn't handle it for a night, but like I was so uncomfortable that I really have to shower. I have to shower. And sometimes this is a very niche, random occasion, but sometimes when I'm going to an event, right, and I'm working with professional hairstylists, makeup artists, while we're doing my hair and makeup for the event, perhaps I have a little straggly little piece of hair or I have some breakage, so my hair is a bit uneven. We might choose to give me a little trim. And it is so anxiety inducing for me because I'm like, we cannot get this hair on me because we're in the middle of doing my hair and makeup for this event. I can't get in the shower now. You know, like we're in it. We're in it now. I can't get in the shower. And so I'm like I'm like bending over and being like, can we cut my hair like while I'm bending over so that it really doesn't fall on me? Or actually, the most memorable occasion of this, I actually did get in the shower. It might have been my second Met Gala. We decided to give me a trim. And I was so itchy. I was like, you guys, I don't know what to tell you. I have to get in the shower right now and like rinse my back because there was hair on my back. I was like, I can't handle this. I'm going to be doing interviews for like 4 hours. And if I have this feeling, if I feel the hairs on my neck, I'm not going to be able to, I'll be able to, I can get over it, but I'm going to be kind of thinking about it and I'm going to be feeling it and it's going to really bother me. So I fully, in the middle of getting my glam done, got in the shower and had to rinse my back. It was very anxiety inducing, but it totally worked out and everything was totally fine. But I really don't like that feeling. I'm very sensitive about things being itchy or scratchy or pokey. Like I just cannot handle it. I've talked many times about how I feel about tags in the back of shirts that aren't soft. Can't handle it. When I was a kid, I was so picky about my socks because I really didn't like the feeling of the seam on the top of my toes. Couldn't handle it. Although I have grown out of a lot of those things, I feel like I'm less sensitive now. I still do experience, maybe it's like a sense of sensory overload, or maybe it's just classic physical discomfort and it's not that deep, but I don't know. Anyway, okay, moving on. Next pet peeve. This actually will start with a story. Okay. So a few months ago, I went to an orthodontist appointment because, fun fact about me, I have Invisalign on my bottom teeth. Because, do you really want to know why? Should I really get into that? I'll tell you. Because I have really thin gums, okay? Like genetically thin gums. And because of that, I'm experiencing gum recession earlier in life than I probably should, right? And so my dentist brought this up to me and was like, you should go to an orthodontist and get your bottom teeth straightened out because your bottom teeth are a little bit crooked and a little bit crowded, and that's causing worse recession. So you should fix your bottom teeth and get your teeth straight, because if your teeth are straight, then your gums will recess less. And then from there, after you get that sorted, go to a gum specialist, a periodontist, and then assess the way that things are currently and see if you need grafting or whatever. So anyway, I'm straightening out my bottom teeth. Long-winded way of saying that. So I went to a routine checkup at my orthodontist. After that, I went to the cafe next door to sit and get some work done at a coffee shop, because I rarely do that. I usually just work from home. But when I'm already going to be out for the day, like sometimes I like to just be out for the day. And I had a workout class planned for later. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to spend like an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours at this coffee shop working. I think it would be a fun experience. Get out of the house, you know? And so I sit down at the coffee shop. I get everything all set up. I have my drink. I'm stoked. I'm like, oh, I haven't gotten to do this in so long. This is so exciting. And I put in my AirPods and they died. And I was like, fuck. Well, that's okay. Whatever. Then a few moments later, the speaker placed right next to my table that I was sitting at started blasting. I'm not being dramatic. Blasting EDM music. Top volume. It is 10 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. I am at a coffee shop where there are tables for people to sit, chat, work, do whatever. The second that music turned on, chatting, working, all of these things became nearly impossible. It was so loud. I was bummed, to say the least, because this is not the setting for blasting EDM music. This is like a cute, trendy cafe. What's happening? The magic of a coffee shop is the subtle, cool, calming ambiance. And listen, I'm not shitting on this coffee shop. The coffee's really good. I mean, I also haven't said what coffee shop it is, and I never will, but I like this coffee shop. I really wanted to spend my afternoon there, but after 20 minutes of trying to focus and get work done, I had to leave. And I was sad. And you know what I ended up doing, which is so weird in retrospect? Like I could have driven around and found another place, but I ended up just working. This is so bizarre. I ended up working in my car for like an hour, but that was because I had a workout class that I was going to after, and it like didn't make sense to go home and then leave immediately to like go to the workout class. I was like, I shouldn't really go home. So I just ended up sitting in my car, but it was such a bummer. Moral of the story is, it is a pet peeve of mine when coffee shops play loud music. Coffee shops are not for loud music to me, unless there are a few occasions where it maybe makes sense. Like if it's the kind of coffee shop where there's not a lot of seating, you know, it's more of like a just pop in, get your drink, pop out. In that case, fuck it, play loud music. You know, it's not an environment for sitting, chatting, working. But for sitting, chatting, working, come on. Like something chill, some jazz, some cute, like soothing alternative music at a low volume, something vibey. It's vibes. Anyway, like, listen, is it also a pet peeve when my AirPods die? Yes. But like, that's my fault. That can't even really be a pet peeve. I mean, yeah, it's like a pet peeve. It sucks when you show up somewhere and you want to have your headphones and then they're dead. Like, bummer. But that wouldn't have been a big deal if the music hadn't been so loud. You know what I'm saying? So that's why that's really the pet peeve in this scenario. Moving on. I really have an issue with the fact that things close early on Sundays. Though I am technically my own sort of boss and I kind of make my own hours, I still stick to a 5-day work week. I work Monday through Friday with almost no exception. And occasionally, I will work on the weekends and then maybe take one day off during the week, like to supplement. But I'm very much on the 5-day work week schedule. I've tried to switch it up and like do a 4-day work week where I just work longer hours to still get the same amount of stuff done that I need to get done. But I think because the world revolves around the 5-day work week, it's just easier to also live my life by the 5-day work week. And also the people that I work with, whether it's agents or the Chamberlain Coffee team, everyone in that space sticks to a 5-day work week. So it just makes sense for me to stick to a 5-day work week, even though I don't technically have to. And so because I stick to the 5-day work week, the weekend is very important to me. It is my time to have fun. It is my time to recharge. It is very important to me. And I think sometimes my expectations for my weekends are too high because, I will really push myself during the week and I just really want to enjoy myself and get the most out of the weekend. And that can sometimes lead to disappointment. But that's honestly a topic for another day. But I'm explaining to you how I feel about the weekends so that you understand why this is a pet peeve for me. Me and most people have only Saturday and Sunday to truly relax, unwind, shop, eat, do activities, etc., etc. It is the norm to take Saturday and Sunday to have fun. Now, why the fuck on one of the 2 days that majority of people have the day off, are we going to close everything at 5 p.m.? Like out of all the days of the week, I think Mondays should be the days where things close early. Now, I think the reason why things close early on Sunday is because of religious reasons. For the most part, I think that's where that tradition came from. I'm actually going to Google it. Things often close early on Sundays due to a combination of historical traditions, religious observance, and modern business practices. Many businesses offer employees a day off for rest, family time, or worship, as Sunday is historically seen as a day of rest. Okay, I get it. I don't know if I'm being who knows? I might fucking get canceled for this. Who knows these days? But I really just think out of all the days of the week, Sunday is not the day to close things early because that's the day that most people have the day off. You know what I mean? So that's when it's fun to go shop. That's when it's fun to go and, casually get chores done. I don't know. To me, I feel like if anything, we should choose a weekday for establishments that are sort of fun to be closed. Like, who's going shopping on a Monday? You know what I'm saying? That's when traffic would be the slowest. Do you know what I'm saying by this? That's just how I feel. Okay. I really think Saturday and Sunday, things should have full hours. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, have the establishment close earlier. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that's the beginning of the work week. Everyone's locked in. Things start to loosen up Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday is the weekend. So to me, give your employees less hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then go full hours Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This is my opinion. I might be wrong in this. This might be like a lack of business understanding or not having enough data or being religiously insensitive. If you're a religious establishment, it totally makes sense. But I'm more referring, do you get what I'm saying? Not everyone has the same. Do you get what I mean? I just want things to be open on Sunday. I can't even tell you how many times I've been, out on the town on a Sunday, shopping around. And next thing I know, 5 p.m. rolls around and everything starts closing. And I'm like, what? I was just getting going. I was just starting to have my fun. Anyway, maybe that's maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing a side of the story. Maybe I'm being like a spoiled brat. I don't really know, but to me, it doesn't make sense. Moving on. Next. This is a very, very specific pet peeve that has to do with pizza. Okay. I love pizza just as much as the next guy or girl. Okay. I love pizza. It's great. I do struggle with the crust. Now, a lot of people love the crust. Some people think the crust is the best part. To me, I would say 75% of the time, the crust is really dry. It's really dry. And choking it down is almost not even worth the effort. I'm the type who it's a 50-50 shot whether or not I'm leaving the crust on the plate. It really depends. I don't like wasting food. I hate wasting food. That's one of my pet peeves, but I think I've talked about that before, so that's why it's not on the list. I absolutely hate wasting food. And so it's a huge bummer to me when pizza crust is so dry that I like can't motivate myself to choke it down because it hurts. I guess my pet peeve is that majority of the time pizza crust is really too dry, but I have a solution. And so maybe my pet peeve is that everyone knows that pizza crust is oftentimes way too dry, and yet no one's trying to solve the problem. Yeah, you could solve the problem by changing your dough recipe, but that's tough because it's clear to me that this is a reoccurring issue for a reason. It must be hard to make pizza crust that isn't sort of dry. And the thing is, we need the crust to give us a dry surface to hold the pizza with. That's the fun of the pizza is that, you can hold it because there's a perfect spot to hold. I think the solution is that all pizzas that have dry crust, everyone knows when a pizza place has dry crust, there should be a side of marinara sauce for dipping the crust. Imagine, I would eat the crust every single time. And imagine how fun. Like, you eat the pizza and then you get a little side of warm marinara sauce to dip in. And it's like you get a breadstick. It's like you get to eat your pizza. And then at the end of eating your pizza, you get a breadstick where you get to dip and eat. How fun. I mean, listen, there's probably other solutions like, changing the recipe of the dough, perhaps even like brushing some olive oil and Parmesan on it. There are probably simpler solutions, but to me, I always just want to dip my crust into marinara sauce. Like I want that. I love marinara sauce. It's my favorite part of the pizza. Honestly, I love the, tart tomato flavor. I don't know. I think that a side of marinara should be more normalized. We should be normalizing that. It's often not an option. When it is an option, I will ask for it because it can make any crust go down easy. I briefly interrupt this episode to let you know that this episode is brought to you by State Farm. Insurance may all seem the same on the surface, but having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like buying a candle online called Cozy Cabin, only to unbox it and discover that it smells like a pile of old books, and not in a good way. You wouldn't settle for musty vibes, so don't settle for just any insurance. When it comes to getting the help you need, State Farm is the real deal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Now back to the episode. Anyway, okay, next. Speaking of pizza, because you get pizza at a restaurant, this is a pet peeve I have about trendy, cute restaurants, okay? I live in LA. I go to New York all the time. I know a thing or two about a cute, trendy restaurant, and I love a cute, trendy restaurant. But there are little trends that I've started to notice in cute, trendy restaurants, some of them being awesome and wonderful, some of them being absolutely horrible. Now, to start out on a positive note, because I don't like being all negative all the time, I'll tell you some trends that I do like in a cute, trendy restaurant, okay? I love that they serve natural wine. I don't drink anymore, but I used to love a glass of natural wine. Okay. Natural wine. I don't really even know what makes it natural. It's something in the processing of it all. And it has a slightly different flavor. It's a bit more tart. It's a bit more sour. It tastes more fermented in a way. I don't know. It's more juicy in some ways. I love it. It's trendy. It's like the new thing, hot thing to have at a cute, trendy restaurant. I love that. Even though I don't drink anymore, I'm glad that it's there for other people. And when I did drink, I loved it. Another thing, I love when cute, trendy restaurants become sort of a third space for young people. I think it's so important that young people hang out with one another and get off their fucking phones. And a lot of times the way that cute, trendy restaurants are set up, they're set up for socializing. Tables are close together. A lot of times people are standing outside having a glass of wine. Like there's like a social energy to it. I really love that and appreciate that. Also, I find that new trendy restaurants have a tendency to really put together a unique culinary experience in ways that are maybe a bit more unusual and exciting. That's wonderful too. So listen, I love a cute, trendy restaurant. I love it. It's fun. It's awesome. I love it. Now that I've been very positive, I can be very negative. Why the fuck does every cute, trendy restaurant think that they need to have tables that are knee high? Okay. I'm talking about knee high when you're sitting. There's something about cute, trendy restaurants. They want to set out the smallest little table that literally cuts off at your knees so that eating is nearly impossible. And I think, honestly, the reason why, like, that's not to say, listen, a lot of times cute, trendy restaurants will have a handful of like normal tables. And then for overflow, for people who maybe are just there for like a little olive and a little glass of wine, there's like a short little table for hors d'oeuvres. But then what tends to happen is that they're so popular because they're so cute and they're so trendy that people end up ordering full meals at these little tables because that's kind of the only option. That is, listen, I'll give that. That's a good excuse, right? However, there have been some other restaurants that I've been at where, similar to the sort of knee-high table issue where it's like impossible to eat, there's also some trendy restaurants that they want a sort of casual dining experience. So instead of like a classic table and chairs, they'll do couches and lounge chairs with sort of like a coffee table vibe in the center. It is impossible to eat dinner in that way. Like eating over your lap. This is a very niche thing I'm realizing as I'm describing it, because most restaurants have normal table and chairs, but this is sort of like a trend that I've noticed in cute, trendy restaurants, particularly in LA and New York. And it's impossible to eat at a table like that. You know, I think eating is best done sitting over the food at a table that cuts off at about your breast, you know, or maybe even your abdomen, rib cage abdomen. But it's like, I understand wanting to pack as many people in as possible. I also understand wanting to create a fucking vibe because holy shit, like what's better than a vibe? Like I get it. I get the heart is there. But functionality is so important, you know? And like, I think a good meal can be sort of ruined by not the right seating arrangement, TBH. So anyway, okay, moving on. Speaking of restaurants and food, while we're on the topic, this is a very specific pet peeve. Incredibly specific. Like there's maybe one other person out there who can relate to this one. This is a pet peeve about my algorithm, okay? Particularly my algorithm on YouTube Shorts, because I don't watch a lot of Instagram Reels. Occasionally, like there are times when I watch Instagram Reels, okay? I can name the times. Number one, when I'm on vacation and I'm just letting my guard down and letting myself use my phone in whatever way I want. Number two, when I'm working. Okay, there's a very particular, sometimes when I'm working outside of my home, like I'm doing a photo shoot or something, or I don't know, I'll let myself go on my phone a little bit more. I don't know why. I think maybe because sometimes it can be sort of high stress, not in a bad way though, but like photo shoots, for example, it's a very like high energy environment. And there is a lot of sort of stress, but in a fun way. It's not like not in a fun way, but it's like a scheduling thing. Like we'll have 2 hours to do hair and makeup before the first shot, but then something will go wrong in hair and makeup, and then we'll need 3 hours to do hair and makeup, and then you know the production team is like, hey, we gotta go, we gotta move, and then the hair and makeup team is like, yeah, but you know we can't start shooting until the hair and makeup is in a good place, and it's not quite there yet, so like we need to move things around, and then everyone's kind of butting heads and it's tense, and you know sometimes that will get me a little bit anxious, and I'll be like, you know what? I'm just going to go. Sometimes like it's just as nice to like look at an Instagram reel, because perhaps like talking, it doesn't really make sense to talk because perhaps everybody needs to be focused on what they're doing. And all I really can do in that moment is like sit and be quiet. But sometimes I'll be kind of anxious, and there's something nice about just scrolling. But I don't abuse that. Like I don't overdo that. But there are certain occasions where I do that. Anyway, really long-winded way of explaining my internet usage. So Instagram Reels I'll scroll on sometimes, but it's like less frequently. What I tend to get sucked into more often is YouTube, because I have YouTube on my phone. I have YouTube on my iPad. Well, I sometimes have YouTube on my phone. Sometimes I delete it if I'm getting too addicted. But it's always on my iPad. And at the end of the day, I love watching YouTube. That's my favorite thing to do. That's my unwind activity. I love it. I love it. I love it. And sometimes I'll get sucked into YouTube Shorts. For some reason, my YouTube Shorts algorithm has figured out that I cannot stop watching. Once I've started watching, I can't stop watching ASMR videos of people eating fried chicken, particularly hot fried chicken, like spicy hot chicken with like a yummy spicy sauce on it. For some reason, my algorithm knows that this is content that makes my mouth water. Videos of people eating hot, whatever the fuck it's called, like Nashville hot chicken. I don't even know. I don't know anything about fried chicken. Why? Because I'm a vegetarian and I've been a vegetarian pretty much my whole life with, an occasional departure into pescatarianism. I will occasionally eat fish, which is somewhat of a new advancement and change in my life mainly because of traveling. It's like hard to get protein sometimes. And so I've tried to open myself up to eating fish, but I'm not really interested in eating any of the birds or any of the red meats or anything. Fish is sort of the only thing I'm open to trying. But prior to exploring fish in my elder years, I've been a vegetarian my whole life. I don't really ever want to eat chicken or red meat. Unless a doctor was like, you have to, I'm never going to, probably. I see these videos of people crunching into this delicious looking, delicious sounding, spicy, yummy fried chicken, and I feel a way I've never felt before. Like, I'm actually salivating talking about it. It looks so fucking good to me. It everything about it is exactly what I like in a food except for the chicken part. I love fried things, I love spicy things, obsessed with spicy things. I know this is a food I would like, but I don't eat chicken. And listen, is there some sort of vegetarian alternative out there? Probably. I know it's not going to be the same. Like, there's something about, oh my God, it looks so good to me. It looks amazing to me. I do probably, at some point, I'm going to cave. Like, I'm not kidding. One night, I'm going to lay down in bed with my iPad and slip into videos of people ASMR eating fried chicken, and I'm going to crack, and I'm going to get in my car and find an alternative that will suffice. At some point, I just haven't gotten to that point yet. It will happen. Mark my words, it will happen, but it's a pet peeve because it looks so fucking good. And my algorithm knows how much I want to eat it because I will watch the video. Literally, I'll watch an ASMR fried chicken eating video once through, and then I'll watch it again. There's almost no other content I'll watch twice through. So it knows what it's doing. And it's just kind of torture for me. But yet I can't take my eyes away. It looks so fucking good. I love food related content. Like, I love restaurant reviews. I love cooking videos. I love like, I went to Disneyland for the day and this is everything that we ate and we tried and this is what we liked and this is what we didn't. I love all that stuff. And my algorithm gives me a lot of that stuff, and that's fine. Like, I love getting that type of content because I love, finding out about new restaurants. I love, for whatever reason, like seeing what people ate at Disneyland or Universal Studios or Disney World, because who knows, maybe one day I'll be there and I'll be able to try this stuff. Also, I love cooking videos because I absorb that information and it helps me later and it gives me ideas for stuff to cook for myself. Like, I love all of that. It's like useful information in one way or another. Like, I find value in it beyond like, ooh, that looks yummy. It's also like, no, I'm actually using this information for future. Whereas these videos of fried chicken, it's like there's nothing in it for me. Like, I'm never going to eat fried chicken. I never get a video of people like, look at this crunch in this vegan fried chicken. It's like, I've never gotten that video, So it's just tough for me. But I will go on a journey one day to find an alternative so I can finally solve that craving, because I'm really, it's agony for me, to be honest. Okay, next. We're moving away from food now. My next pet peeve is when, this is also kind of niche. Let me give you some backstory actually before I get into this. So, as some of you may know, but some of you may not know about me, for many years I was a vape queen. Okay. I vaped for many years. I have had a pretty gnarly nicotine addiction for many years now, and it's gone through phases. I've had vape phases and I've had nicotine pouch phases. Zyn, Velo, the little nicotine pouch that you put in your lip. Doesn't have any tobacco in it. It's just nicotine salt, whatever the fuck that is. So those are the two forms of nicotine that I've dabbled in. I've never been into cigarettes. It's just not my vibe. I think that they're honestly like kind of disgusting tasting. I just like, and they're obviously terrible for you, but all of it is. So it's like, but I've never gotten into cigarettes. It's always been the vape and the Zyn for me. Now, I am not going to tell you that the vape or the Zyn is healthier for you than smoking a cigarette because I'm not a scientist. I don't know. It's all bad and we should all avoid all of it at all costs. However, it is a pet peeve for me when someone who smokes cigarettes is like, you're really smoking a Juul? Like, that's so much worse for you than cigarettes. Like, just smoke the cigarette. Or when somebody's like, oh my God, you're using the Zyn, the nicotine pouch? Doesn't that like burn holes in your lip? Like, you should probably just smoke a cigarette. It's like, wait a minute. You smoke cigarettes. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, listen, I don't know if the vape is worse, the cigarette is worse. I don't know if the Zyn is worse than the vape, better than the vape. I don't know. It doesn't matter because all of it is bad. And I would argue all of it is probably, is it equally as bad? Listen, it's neither here nor there. What's worse? What's better? I don't know. I don't want to speak on it because I can't say for sure. But also, cigarettes are so bad. Like, it's delusional in every way, shape, or form to go to somebody else who's consuming another carcinogenic thing and to say, why are you doing that when you could just do this? Like, ew, what are you doing with the Juul? You know, that's like so much worse. Like, it's new. So it's like worse. It's like, it's all bad. Sorry, I'm like screaming. Someone who's smoking cigarettes has no right to comment on anyone else's nicotine consumption. If you have an addiction to cigarettes, you have there's like this weird high horse that I've experienced with people who smoke cigarettes. Like, they think that they're so fucking cool with the cigarette and they think it's so classic and they think it's like they think it's actually like the healthiest option. But to me, that's like a form of in denial. It's like, no, you're smoking cigarettes. And we all know what happens when you smoke cigarettes. It's not usually good unless you're one of the few people who randomly get away with it until you're like 100 years old, because that does happen. But it's like, what are you talking about? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we're all in this together. We're all struggling with this shitty addiction together. Stop using me as like, I don't know, some sort of punching bag to make you feel better about your addiction. Like, it's weird. But I've experienced it so many times. I can't even tell you how many times I've had people who smoke cigarettes get on me about vaping or using the Zyn. It's like, what you are doing is equally as bad, if not worse. This makes no sense. But it's also like, this sort of action is frustrating in general, of like, we're all adults. And I do think to an extent it can be, you know, helpful to say, hey, what you're doing is not healthy. But at the same time, like, there's a way of doing it where it's with love and with warmth and with like a lack of judgment, you know? And I feel like this kind of interaction I tend to have between me and a cigarette smoker is like, there's like a weird, like judgmental undertone that I can't explain, but it's happened to me so many times that that's why it's on this list now. I don't know. It's like, you're basically criticizing somebody for doing the same thing that you're doing in an attempt to make you feel better. Like, that's not nice. And that doesn't make any sense. And that probably means you need to face your situation head on, you know? Like, you have an addiction to cigarettes. So let's deal with that. You know what I mean? Instead of, I don't know, trying to pretend like smoking cigarettes is like the morally higher option. It's like, none of it is. It's all bad and none of us should be touching any of it, but we're all addicted and it's sad. Okay, moving on. Okay, next, another pet peeve. I cannot stand when I buy a new lamp. I'm so excited. I love this lamp and I have an idea of where I want to put it. But perhaps before purchasing this lamp, I didn't really think about where the nearest outlet would be. I just purchased the lamp because I thought it would look cute in a particular corner. Go to that corner, go to that place, put the lamp down and realize, oh shit, there is not an outlet. Even worse, there is an outlet, but it's a little bit far away. So to plug it in is to now expose the cord in a big way. And that cord is ugly. Basically, my pet peeve is plugging in lamps. I feel like more often than not, I really struggle to manage the cord situation. There are solutions. You know, you can put a cord cover on that's cute. That works. You know, you can get an extension cord that's cute. But like, that doesn't mean it's not a pet peeve. Just because there's a solution doesn't mean it's not a pet peeve, because even sometimes using those solutions doesn't work. Like there's been a few occasions where I've been like, you know what, I'm going to get an extension cord and we'll figure this out. And that didn't work. And then I tried a cord cover and then that didn't work. Like it's not, there are options, but that doesn't mean they're always going to work. And so that is a pet peeve for me. Next, this one's a simple one. I hate cleaning straws. And I have a lot of reusable straws in my life. Every single day, I drink coffee through a metal straw and matcha. I also use a lot of reusable tumbler cups. I have many different kinds. I have kinds that I use for coffee and matcha if I want my drink to be cold all day. I have another one for like short-term drinking, like I'm about to slurp this thing down quick and I want a cup that's like comfortable to carry in my arm. Perhaps I want to see what my drink looks like. Sometimes that's just a weird innate desire that I have. I want to see what I'm drinking. So I'll use like a clear tumbler cup. I love my Stanley cup for water, hydration, All of these cups come with a reusable straw. Now that's a wonderful thing, okay? The more we can reuse cups and things of the sort, the better. However, I hate cleaning the fucking straw, okay? A lot of times I will just rinse the straw really well and then put it in my dishwasher. Now that does the trick majority of the time, but that isn't actually really cleaning inside. And so you do need to clean inside the straw sometimes, or else you're going to have a moldy situation and you could get sick probably. Maybe not, but maybe. And that's how my brain works. Whether or not you can get sick from that, I'm going to, in my brain, in my world, that's a sickness. That will cause sickness. There's something about getting out that little straw cleaner and getting in there that like really is unenjoyable for me. And I actually don't mind doing dishes. Like, actually, I don't love doing dishes. I like filling my dishwasher. Well, for so many years of my life, like as a kid, I just wanted a dishwasher so bad. And so now that I have one, I'm like so grateful for it. And every time I get to put dishes in my dishwasher, I like smile because it's such a wonderful piece of technology and I'm so grateful for it. And I absolutely love it. And I dreamed of it for, 17 years of my life. And so I wanted a dishwasher so bad. But even when like I have to hand wash stuff, like a special mug or something, okay. But there's something about the straws that really pisses me off. I also don't like having to hand wash pans, like pots and pans. That's almost even worse. But I will say all of my pots and pans these days are dishwasher safe. I used to have a few ceramic ones that I had to hand wash and it was very not fun for me. And I found a replacement for all of those pots and pans. Now I only have dishwasher safe ones. And I gave the other ones to my mom because she loves dishes. It's fun. She has fun with it. She's okay with it. She doesn't care. She was excited about the ceramic cookware, but again, maybe I sound like an asshole. Maybe now I'm having an existential crisis because I'm complaining about the dumbest shit, but is that not what a list of pet peeves is? It's pointless complaining for the sake of complaining. It's a privilege to have a pet peeves list that is so stupid. And I'm aware of that. And I choose to have fun with it because why not? Anyway, moving on so that I don't dig deeper into the existential crisis and then delete this episode and cry myself to sleep. My next pet peeve, I love blueberries. Okay. That's not my pet peeve. My pet peeve is not that I like blueberries. I love blueberries. And one of my favorite things about blueberries as a fruit, I'm somebody who loves fruit in general. But blueberries is one of my favorites, at least right now. One of my favorite things about blueberries as a fruit is that you can really reach into the container, grab a handful, and like shove them into your mouth, almost like popcorn. I love that style of eating things. I love shoving things into my mouth in a big handful. I love that. And that's one of my favorite things about blueberries. My pet peeve is the little stems that are left in the blueberries when you buy them. Now, this is the dumbest pet peeve I've ever talked about in my life. And it is so stupid that I'm like contemplating, should I even say this out loud? But it is a pet peeve. Like getting a big handful of blueberries and then looking and seeing a little stem left over because listen, when I first get blueberries, I'll look through and I'll pick out the stems, right? Like it's totally fine. It's no problem. I'll do that. But then there's always a few left over because I don't get all of them. I'm not like, taking every little blueberry out with a tweezer and pulling out I'm skimming. I'm skimming through. I really do get frustrated when I like pick up a handful and then I see a stem in there and I'm like, fuck. And then I have to put them all down, take the stem out, then, pick up another handful and then, oh my God, there's another one. That happens and that bothers me. And it is a pet peeve because I just want to throw those blueberries into my mouth at a large volume. I want to fill the mouth and I want to crunch, crunch, crunch on my blueberries. And the stem, if I get a stem in my mouth, it's not fun. I feel it in my mouth and it bothers me. And I am kind of a picky eater a little bit. I'm like simultaneously kind of a foodie who loves adventurous flavors and stuff, but also simultaneously very picky. Like I get weird about textures and stuff sometimes. And so getting a little bite of the stem can really bother me and kind of gross me out for some reason. But anyway, moving on. My next pet peeve is when I watch some sort of high budget production or I consume some sort of high budget production, such as a high budget movie, music video, photo shoot, some sort of expensive piece of media, okay? Some sort of studio of some sort of production company, some sort of big company made some sort of expensive media. Could even be a commercial, and it's not good. Now, here's why this is a pet peeve to me. Okay. Now listen, I'm not trying to shit on any artists or creatives or anyone who makes, big budget projects, a movie, a photo campaign, a video campaign, a commercial, a music video. Like it hurts me to say this because being someone who puts things on the internet, like I never want to add to the sort of endless hatred and judgment and criticism, even though I think all of those things are inevitable and also sometimes even like valid. I think because I'm on the internet, I'm so sensitive to it that I'm like, I don't even want to add to it. However, this is a pet peeve. When something is expensive and you can tell, or, sometimes the cost of a particular project will be released to the public. Like, oh, this movie cost $250 million. This commercial costs $20 million, whatever. When something's very expensive, I want it to be worth that. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm somebody who hates wasting food. I also hate wasted money. And so like the idea of like all this money being poured into a project and it not actually being good, that sucks. Like when something's low budget, like a low budget film, an indie film, or a low budget music video, an indie music video, or like a scrappy little photo shoot for a campaign, like who cares? If it's like that's, I think, like we all need to experiment creatively somehow, right? And not every campaign, not every movie, not every music video is going to be the best in the world. I don't know, but when the budget's low and everyone had fun making it, then who cares? But when the budget starts getting into like the millions, I have I don't know, I don't have like an expectation as a consumer of media as we all are, but like, I don't know. I can't help but cringe at a wasted opportunity. I can't help but feel sick at wasted money. But I'm not saying everything that's high budget is a waste. There are things that are high budget that are fucking masterpieces. Incredible. And I appreciate the art of that as well. It's just that like it really is a pet peeve for me when I feel like money was wasted in a movie or one of these sorts of medias falls flat despite the budget. It's like, how does that even happen? But also, not every piece of media is going to come out perfectly. And just because something's high budget doesn't mean it's going to be amazing. And vice versa. Just because something's low budget doesn't mean it's going to suck. But I just feel a particular pain when I see something expensive that didn't turn out good. Not that it is anyone in particular's fault. Like, it's just kind of how creative output is. Like, it's just not always going to work. But it just is a pet peeve. And I bet it's a pet peeve for those who made it too. Like if they made it and they didn't like it or it didn't turn out the way that they wanted to, like it's probably a pet peeve for them too. So I feel less like I'm adding to the negative rapport because I think they probably feel, the creatives involved probably felt that way too. Or perhaps even like because there was such a high budget, that money has to come from somewhere, and perhaps whoever invested into the project had a heavy say. And sometimes that can actually destroy a project in a way. Who knows? But anyway. Okay, moving on. Last but not least, my final pet peeve of the day is when foods have a bad ratio. Okay, let me explain. I'll give you some examples. Chocolate croissant. There's not enough chocolate in the croissant. There's a thin little sliver of chocolate off to one side in the chocolate croissant. And only a third of your bites have chocolate in it. That is a pet peeve of mine. Another one, when you order, let's say hummus and pita, right? The whole point of that is that it's like you have a dip and then you have something to dip with, right? When they don't give you enough hummus with the pita, you got all this pita and not nearly enough hummus, and vice versa. But honestly, though, I find that I get more frustrated when there's not enough of the dip, because I can like eyeball it and be like, you know what? I'm just going to take big scoops. You know what I mean? Like, that's fine. That's fun. I love that. Or like if you order tater tots and the tater tots come with, a special dipping sauce and they just don't give you enough dipping sauce. Like, what you really want to do is you really want to take a piece of pita bread and you really want to dig it into the hummus and have a big bite. That's yummy. When you have the tater tots, what you really want to do is you want to, be able to just drench in the sauce. But if the ratio's off, that sucks. Same thing with the chocolate croissant. You want to bite into that thing and have a yummy chocolatey flavor in every single bite. Oh, another one is like if you get nachos and there's not the right topping ratio, like there's not enough cheese. The cheese is like barely touching the chips on the top. And then it's like, if you get to the bottom chip is dry. Fuck that. You know what I mean? I can't with that. And sometimes you can like ask for more, but if you got your meal to go or, perhaps they charge extra for, it's like, oh no, sucks. Anyway, speaking of that, I'm actually really hungry, so I'm gonna go eat dinner. But thank you all for listening and hanging out. In a few months, I'll probably have a few more pet peeves. So stay tuned for that if you enjoyed this episode. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, I've done many pet peeves episodes. So if you want some more of my pet peeves, just look up Anything Goes Pet Peeves and you'll find a bunch of different episodes of me talking about my pet peeves. New episodes of Anything Goes every Thursday and Sunday. Anything Goes is available anywhere you stream podcasts, although if you want to watch a video, that is on YouTube and Spotify. Anything Goes is on social media at Anything Goes. I'm on the internet at Emma Chamberlain, and my coffee company is on the internet and in the world at Chamberlain Coffee. Thank you all for listening and hanging out. It's always fun. It's always a blast. I really am hungry, so I'm going to go eat my dinner. But I love you all. I appreciate you all. And I'll talk to you in a few days. Mwah. Talk to you later.